Russ, Chief Constable, the Isle of Man Constabulary.
And Neil Craig, the Inspector in charge of the Roads Policing Unit.
So obviously this is the launch of road safety campaign for TT. Just tell us a bit about what it is, because this is Know Your Limits, and you're specifically targeting men over 50.
Absolutely, so as you quite rightly point out, this is my first TT. Obviously the newly appointed Chief Constable, very much looking forward to an exciting but enjoyable and safe event going forward. So certainly last year when we unpicked the statistics, 2/3 of casualties were in fact over 50 during the 2-week period. We also experienced 50% of the number of road traffic collisions involving motorcycles in that 2-week period than we experienced for the rest of the year. So the real focus is around people over 50, but also visitors, because those 2/3 were also visitors to the island. And my view is that clearly individuals like me will come over not familiar with the roads, and our roads here in the Isle of Man can be unforgiving of you and them. So we're asking people to ride the motorcycles, drive the vehicles within their limits, so know your limits.
And how's planning going from your side?
Planning's going really well. It's a well rehearsed machine. There's obviously nuances every year. What was really useful for us last year was the introduction of various speed limits in the lower section of the mountain, and that helped us really make an impact on serious injuries, and to the point where we had no fatalities on open roads last year, which was a real success, not just for the Constabulary but for the whole of the island. Sadly there were some deaths within racing itself, but in terms of open roads everybody seemed to play their part, and we had a successful TT.
Just on that, actually, because last year there was added sort of places around the island as well where limits were introduced, and obviously the coast road up to Ramsey was brought in. Is that they all in place again this year?
Yes, same speed limit introductions in the same places. What we found over previous TTs was that a lot of people were decanting from coming across the mountain down to an area called the Slock, which is in the south of the island. And we sadly had 2 fatalities on that stretch of road in the TT before COVID, and that has played a part in the control measures that collectively we've put in place to try and prevent such tragedies happening again.
So, Chief Constable, like you say, it is your first TT you're coming into. So have you been impressed by the level of organisation that exists within the road policing unit, especially with such a challenging event like this?
Absolutely. So before I was appointed, I had 2 months working alongside Gary Roberts, the former Chief Constable, who briefed me in terms of the intimate detail with regards to TT, a massive event, not only for Isle of Man Constabulary but also other partners across the island. And it is, probably the biggest thing that we do actually do. We will be resourcing it from within resources solely with the Isle of Man Constabulary, supported with vehicles and other assets from other forces. But if public see vehicles knocking around the island with English plates, rest assured they are members of the Isle of Man Constabulary.
And just in terms of obviously yourself, you're kind of, like I said, you're a bit of an experienced.
Absolutely. So I'm an avid motorcycle rider, albeit nowadays fair weather, but I do know my limits. I am over 50. I'm not as agile both mentally and physically as I perhaps was 20 years ago. And my message is for people, particularly over 50, know your limits, know your motorcycle, get familiar with the roads, and stick to speeds that you're comfortable with. Don't try and relive your youth.
And just finally, what you must look forward to about TT?
The start, but also the finish. My understanding is it's fantastic to welcome the event, welcome people to the island. Hopefully they thoroughly enjoy it, but I understand that throughout TT my heart will be in my mouth, and whilst it's good to see it come, it's also good to see it go.